Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. mypillow.com. Promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Calling it Liberation Day, President Donald Trump unveiled his sweeping new reciprocal tariffs yesterday during a Make America Wealthy Again event in the White House Rose Garden. I have all the details for you in today's show. Secretary of Education Linda McMahon dropped by unexpectedly at a news conference outside of the Department of Education yesterday that was being held by a group of Democrat House members. It got kind of interesting, and they weren't expecting her to arrive. Christine Grady, a top bioethicist at the National Institutes of Health and the wife of former top NIH official Anthony Fauci, was among the health bureaucrats who received a layoff notice this week, according to news reports. We have those detailed, too. The U.S. House canceled all votes this week after some internal disagreements among Republican members. 3rd Congressional Representative Sheri Biggs joins us to talk about some of the pressing legislation that the House is in the middle of working on. And Nashville police have released their final report on the Covenant School massacre, a targeted March 2023 attack on a Christian school by a transgender shooter who killed 3 third graders and 3 adults.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
President Donald Trump unveiled his sweeping new tariffs program yesterday during this major Make America Wealthy Again event. It was at the White House in the Rose Garden, marking April the 2nd as, quote, Liberation Day. The plan imposes new tariffs on foreign-made goods, which Trump says will revitalize U.S. manufacturing, create jobs, and help pay down the national debt.
In a few moments, I will sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. Reciprocal, that means they do it to us and we do it to them. Very simple. Can't get any simpler than that. This is one of the most important days, in my opinion, in American history. It's our declaration of economic independence. For years, hardworking American citizens were forced to sit on the sidelines as other nations got rich and powerful, much of it at our expense. But now it's our turn to prosper, and in so doing, use trillions and trillions of dollars to reduce our taxes and pay down our national debt, and it'll all happen very quickly. With today's action, we are finally going to be able to make America great again, greater than ever before.
So here's the program. Countries that impose higher tariffs or trade barriers on U.S. goods will now face proportional tariffs, roughly half of what they impose on us, which maybe we should even reconsider that. So here's some examples. China, for example, charges a 67% tariff and other trade barriers on all U.S. goods. With Trump's new proposal, we would still only charge about half of that, 34% reciprocal tariffs. The European Union, presently, they charge us 39% tariffs. Our reciprocal tariffs under the new Trump program, 20%. Vietnam, 90% tariffs. They charge 90% tariffs on all U.S.-made products, which doesn't even make it worth shipping to Vietnam, I would assume. Our new plan, 46% reciprocal tariffs. Japan, Presently, they charge us 46% tariffs. Trump's proposal, 24% for Japan. India, 52% tariffs versus what Trump is proposing, a 26%. South Korea, they charge us 50%. Trump is now proposing that we charge them 25%. So you kind of get the idea. Even with these new imposed tariffs, for many of these countries, we're still only half. They're still only paying half. But hopefully it's going to be enough to hurt and make them come back to the table. The baseline for all tariffs is 10% on imports from countries without significant barriers. So if you're going to be shipping your product into our country, then you're going to be charged something. Now, of course, a lot of people saying, well, that's just going to make prices go up. And it might make prices go up on some things. The idea here, and we're playing a game of chicken. The idea is that they will reduce their tariffs so that our products can come in for less, with the understanding we'll do likewise. Or better yet, they'll just start manufacturing them here in the U.S. Let's take the auto industry, for example. 25% tariff on imported cars start today. Started at midnight. 25% on all car parts starts no later than May the 3rd. White House Trade Advisor Peter Navarro says that tariffs could generate $600 billion annually, or $6 trillion over 10 years. That's a lot of money. What does the president say? The president said it's very simple. If you want zero tariffs, build your product here in America. It's just that simple. He also highlighted past successes with tariffs, saying that the U.S. was once a tariff-backed nation that collected wealth rapidly, especially between the 1789 and 1913 period. Now, that was a long, long time ago, but it must have worked then. Supporters say that tariffs will protect U.S. industries, that it will reduce the trade deficit, and that it will revive domestic manufacturing. Because these companies, rather than facing these high tariffs, they're going to just start coming here and they're going to open up new manufacturers, which is going to be investment in communities all around the country. It's going to provide better jobs in some of these communities around the country, which will eventually bring those prices back down. Now, the critics, on the other hand, those who hate Trump, don't even want to give it a chance. They say that the move could spike prices for consumers and strain global trade relations. And again, it might. Wall Street stocks were better yesterday on the news, but it's been a mixed bag, up and down. The EU has already threatened firm countermeasures. Well, hey, have at it. I mean, I think that's the idea. We are now in a trade war, and if the European Union wants to impose further tariffs, I guess that's their prerogative. That's what a trade war is all about, right? Some of the industries that will especially be affected, the steel industry, the aluminum industry, of course, I just mentioned automotive, agriculture, pharmaceuticals, tech, and energy, particularly oil trade with Venezuela. President Trump said jobs and factories will come roaring back. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, being questioned by the press, said our goal is to restore the golden age of America, making America a manufacturing superpower. And that's what it's all about. That's the end game, is to start making the products here in the States again, rather than making it so easy for these companies to ship these jobs offshore to another country. Bring it back to America. Make your product here. Employ Americans to make better products. Interesting, and honestly, I don't quite understand this yet, and we'll get further clarification. Canada and Mexico, which are part of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement that Trump negotiated during his first term, they weren't on the White House Reciprocal Tariffs fact sheet. The terms of the USMCA generally lowered or eliminated tariffs on goods covered by the Free Trade Agreement. White House Press Secretary, though, Caroline Leavitt, said that there are no exemptions to the tariffs, including for farmers who were a central target for foreign countries' retaliatory tariffs during Trump's first term. Aside from the reciprocal tariff plan, the Trump administration has also discussed an across-the-board tariff on up to 20%, as well as a plan to focus tariffs on 15 countries some of which we mentioned a minute ago, with the high levels of trade with the U.S. and relatively high tariff rates already. Those plans appear to have been tabled in favor of the reciprocal tariff plan, which this is subject to change. This is sort of the firing the first shot across the bow. There could be other changes. We'll just have to wait and see. The White House may also launch what they are calling the External Revenue Service rather than the Internal Revenue Service to oversee tariff collection by moving that responsibility from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection to the new ERS within the Commerce Department. The Trump administration contends that external companies and countries pay tariffs, though economists broadly agree that they're paid by the importing company, which would, in this case, be U.S. firms, which would be passed on to the U.S. consumer. There's going to be a part of that anyway. The consumer is going to have to pay part of this regardless, because it just makes sense that if a company is selling a widget for $5 and then it suddenly costs them an additional $1 to get that widget into the States, they're going to pass that dollar on to you and me. And that's the bad part of this. I'm willing, although I don't have a choice, but I'm hopeful that, and I trust that Donald Trump knows what he's doing here, and that, again, it's a game of chicken, and that the other companies or countries who ship a lot more product into our country, because, we are the world economic engine. Other companies in other countries love our market because they can sell a lot of product here. I don't think they're just going to walk away. They're going to figure out a way to make this work that benefits the American consumer. Hi, Joey Hudson here. This spring there's a renewed energy and focus on efficiencies, and shaking up unhealthy habits don't serve us well. There's so much chatter about making America great again, but it starts in your home with you being the best, healthiest version of yourself. And PhD Weight Loss is doing their part, because for the first time ever, the first 11 callers get 2 free weeks added to your weight loss program. That is huge. PhD's out to prove that you don't need Big Pharma to reach your goals. It just creates dependency, not long-term change. Dr. Ashley Lucas researched weight loss trends for years and discovered a scientifically proven way to retrain your body to burn fat efficiently without hunger, extreme exercise, or dangerous medications. PhD clients watch their belly fat disappear, their energy skyrocket, cholesterol and blood pressure normalize without starving themselves. I lost over 30 pounds and I've never felt better. So call now and mention promo code Joey for my 2 weeks for free with my program. Call 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com. I never like to see anyone lose their job. And I'm not going to say that I'm necessarily happy about this one, but it is a bit different. Christine Grady. Does that name ring a bell? Probably not. I would not have known it right offhand. Christine is a top bioethicist at the National Institutes of Health. She was one of a number of health bureaucrats who received their layoff notice this week. Christine Grady is the wife of former top NIH official Dr. Anthony Fauci. Grady was given the boot as part of the post-pandemic restructuring of the Department of Health and Human Services. This, according to a report from the New York Times. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and his top aides have said that the layoffs are aimed at consolidating administrative functions and overhauling a failed status quo in Americans' health. Some NIH leaders were given the option of transferring to one of the field offices of the Indian Health Services in Alaska, Montana, Minnesota, and other locations far removed from Washington, D.C. So, hey, Dr. Anthony Fauci and wife could end up in Alaska or Montana. You think they're going to go? It's not clear whether Miss Grady was among the officials given the option of taking up a remote post hundreds of miles from the couple's Tony Beltway neighborhood. And look, I doubt that she needs the money. He absconded with so many millions over the years. I'm sure they're pretty comfortable these days. With a net worth of just over $11 million by the time Fauci retired in 2022. This, according to federal disclosures, that was a jump from $7.6 million before the COVID pandemic, according to open the books. So he did pretty well during COVID. Even an NIH official who described Ms. Grady as well-respected acknowledged that her marriage to Dr. Fauci impacted the ability of the institutes to tackle ethical questions that risk reflecting poorly on the former White House medical advisor. You think she's going to allow some hard discussions about the work of her husband, Tony? Another NIH official, speaking on the condition of anonymity, told the Daily Caller News Foundation that Ms. Grady was, quote, a good person with a major conflict of interest. Said one of the problems when the cover-up was going on of the Wuhan lab leak, that whole fiasco, was that they were not listening to anyone giving ethics advice. If they had had someone at the table with knowledge of this, they would have said, hey, do you want to play it this way or be more transparent? Someone could have raised the question, this anonymous source said. That's something that Christine Grady could have or should have done. She wasn't able to do so because she was Fauci's wife. Maybe they had discussions in private about what was going on, he said. She was replaced in a conflicted role because of that. Of course it was conflicted. And I don't think it's a maybe they discussed it. I can guarantee you they discussed it. Clifford Lane, who had worked at the Fauci's National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases since 1991, most recently as Deputy Director of Clinical Research and Special Projects, was also let go, according to the New York Times. The Division of Microbiology and Infectious Diseases Director, Emily Belding, has also been let go, according to Government Executive. There's a whole list of people who, they've been collecting these fat salaries for years. Nobody's ever reviewed them, ever questioned them. It's just another part of DOGE and the Trump administration that, hey, there's a new sheriff in town, and we got to cut the way somewhere. We got to look. Our government is too big. Speaking of cutting government, Education Secretary Linda McMahon gave an unexpected remark in the spirit of nonpartisanship, of course, at the House Democrats press conference yesterday. Now, here's the story. A group of House Democrats were holding a press conference on the front steps of the Department of Education, and it wasn't a friendly press conference. They were there to be critical of the Trump administration and of Secretary Linda McMahon specifically about the idea of closing down the Department of Education. Secretary McMahon just happened to stop by the press conference outside her building. I mean, she is the secretary. It is her building. Beforehand, we're told that she met with Representative Mark Takano, a Democrat from California, and some other Democrat members to discuss concerns over recent layoffs. The department announced last month it's initiating its reduction in force and impacted about 50% of its workforce. Here's the exchange between Secretary of Education McMahon as she's speaking to a group of Democrat lawmakers and whoever showed up from the press.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for coming. And I just want to express my gratitude to all of these folks who came today so that we could have an open discussion about what I believe is one of the most important things that we can have a discussion on or action on in our country, and that is the education of our young people. The best education is that is closest to the child, where teachers and parents, local superintendents, working together and local school boards to develop the curriculum for those students is the best way that it can happen. Funding from the United States government will continue through the programs that have already been established, and I will look forward to continuing to work with members of Congress on both sides of the aisle, and I welcome the fact that these folks came today and expressed their concerns and shared in an open collegial format.
Here, can you just answer the question, when are you going to shut down this building?
Well, we've had our discussions already, so thank you all very, very much for coming.
Thank you all.
As you see, she's not answering the question when she's going to shut down the Department of Education.
She doesn't know.
She doesn't have a plan, and while she doesn't have a plan, they're continuing to look at firing people, reduction in RIFs, reduction in force, maybe doing it with a velvet glove, but still has the effect of an iron fist.
Dismantling the Department of
Dismantling
Education. Is what's
Now, of course, those voices at the end after she concluded her remarks were members of the Democrat caucus, House Democrat caucus, who were there, again, to question her ability to shut down the Department of Education anyway. McMahon, as you heard, concluded her remarks and attempted to turn the event back to the Democrats, Mr. Takano, when he interjected the question to the secretary, and she just kind of waved him off, turned, and left, as she should have. Takano told reporters that during their meeting, Secretary McMahon expressed ambiguity regarding when she would carry out Trump's campaign promise of shutting the Department of Education down. He said that she vowed to consult appropriate statutes. Wonder why they're so interested in, when exactly are you going to close it down? I mean, look, I'd like to know too, and I hope it's sooner than later. But why do these Democrats really want to know when she's going to shut this down? Takano noted that Ms. McMahon said during her Senate confirmation hearing that she would consult with Congress as far as when it would be lights out for the department. I think it's time for lights out, don't you? I'd love to hear from someone who thinks it's a bad idea to eliminate the Department of Education. I know many of you think it's a great idea. I'd love to hear from you if you think it's a bad idea. Email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. You can text me. You can leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Just leave your message. I'd love to hear from you. And by the way, when you go to mypillow.com, always use promo code Joey. Mike Lindell has some great deals for you right now. Some wonderful sheets. If you want some of the most comfortable sheets in the world, try the Giza Dream Sheets. And Mike Lindell has a great special for you. I had the opportunity to interview Mike the other day. You can watch it on my YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, search for Joey, and you'll see it there. But during our interview, he announced that he's going to offer wholesale prices on the Giza Dream Sheet. So for example, queen size normally $139.98. Your wholesale price $69.99. King size only $79.99. But you have to use promo code Joey. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-893-4059. But I love for you to leave your messages on the MyPillow message line, because I want to hear from somebody who thinks it's not a bad idea and why. Congress established the Department of Education back in 1979, and it, quite honestly, it'll probably need the approval of Congress to dismantle. I mean, I know that President Trump signed an executive order, and I know that this is the task that he has given Secretary McMahon. But in all fairness and honesty, it's probably going to take an act of Congress to dismantle it, since they are the ones who established it, primarily because Jimmy Carter wanted it. The executive order that Trump signed on March 20th to significantly scale down the department while maintaining some of its core functions, it was unclear whether the department would continue to manage its $1.6 trillion federal student loan portfolio, as the order's language suggested bank functions could be moved to a more suitable entity. And that's part of what Trump is doing in other areas. If an agency is better suited to carry out a task, they're not afraid to send it over to someone else. Representative Catano said, I have to say that the secretary indicated more than once that before she moved any functions of the department to other departments and the other place, that she was looking carefully at what the statute allows her to do. That was refreshing information that the secretary relayed to all of us, and we certainly hope she sticks to what she told us today. I think she probably will. She's not going to tell you one thing there, Congressman, and do something else. But they're going to do it right. They need to get it right so that they don't have they're not bogged down in a bunch of legal lawsuits, which they probably will be anyway. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. Representing the 3rd Congressional District, Congresswoman Sheri Biggs, welcome. Always good to have you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Good to talk to you.
You guys had a bit of drama, I guess you could say, yesterday as House leadership canceled votes for the rest of the week. This all came about when Florida Representative Anna Paulina Luna was pushing for a vote on a resolution that will allow members who've had a baby, or maybe their spouses have had a child, to have another member vote for them. It's called proxy voting. Speaker Johnson believes it's unconstitutional, decided to pull all votes until next week. Now, the significance of this is that you were very close to voting on 2 key pieces of legislation. The No Rogue Rulings Act, which will be the first step in preventing activist judges from putting up roadblocks to delay Trump administration actions. And the other is the Safeguard American Voters Eligibility Act, known as SAVE, which will require proof of citizenship in order to register to vote. Now, let's start with the idea of proxy voting. How do you feel about this? Should a member who's had a new addition to his or her family be allowed to ask another member to vote for them?
Well, there are a lot of different angles you can look at this. I believe it's a sacrifice to be here, but it's also a privilege to be sitting in the seat. And each day, we just have to decide, and we have to represent our districts. And I feel like maybe, I don't know, I can't speak for the members that voted with the Democrats on that area, but for me, I feel like I'm here to work, and I knew what I was signing up for, and I'm going to give it everything I have. And I think being in person and representing my district, I believe that's what I'm here for. So it was unfortunate because we had a lot of work to do this week.
Yeah, and these are 2 key pieces of legislation. All right, let's talk about the Rogue Rulings Act. It's very important. We have to rein these judges in. Do you believe once you get a chance to vote, and as I understand it, maybe next Monday, that this bill will pass?
I think so. We don't have an actual date when we will be voting on it, but we just have to make sure that these judges aren't blocking our president and what we're trying to get accomplished. Most of these are left-leaning judges, and they're just trying to stall President Trump's efforts. And all President Trump is doing is trying to fulfill the American people's mandate. It's ridiculous. It really is. And what the House Republicans want to do is to restore balance to our judicial system. It's common sense, and it's what needs to happen. And you have to look at the Constitution, and I think everything goes back to that and the way that we're handling our business.
Yeah, it is just crazy that a district judge in California can literally stop something nationwide, and I hope you guys are able to pass this and move forward and send a message to these federal judges. All right, the SAVE Act. Safeguard American Voter Eligibility. Nothing's more important than to protect the integrity of our elections. What can you tell us about this bill?
Well, it just ensures that American citizens are voting in American elections. And this is something that I have co-sponsored, and I strongly believe in this. It's simple. We shouldn't have illegals voting in our elections. We've got to safeguard them, and we've got to make sure that we have election integrity.
Yeah. With me today, Congresswoman Sheri Biggs from South Carolina's 3rd Congressional District. You mentioned, you said common sense a minute ago on the No Rogue Rulings Act. Both of these are just common sense pieces of legislation, aren't they?
They are. I mean, when you talk about voting, it's just going to require in-person proof of citizenship, and for registered voters, and it's simple. It's not a complicated issue.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that it shouldn't take an act of Congress to make this happen, but I guess this is where we are today. All right, let's talk about another topic here, completely different from those. Males competing in female sports. President Trump's executive order was very clear, and I believe you were at the White House when he signed it. Yet we still have these liberal universities defying President Trump's executive order. The latest, Ithaca College in New York this past weekend allowed a male to compete on their rowing team. Now, the school later claimed that it was a misunderstanding, that the coaches didn't think that it was an official event, which kind of tells me that they're still allowing men on the teams, but maybe hiding them from NCAA sanctioned events. Do you think Congress is going to need to try to intervene here as well and just make it clear that no men are allowed to be on women's teams, period?
I think so. I mean, we're going to have to enforce that, and it's already been made clear what the president's expectations are, and I think it's ridiculous. The men that I'm around, I'm just thinking about my son Austin, even the men that work in my office, they would never want to compete against a female. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We're biologically different. They need to compete against, men need to compete against men in their own sports, and women against women. It's not even fair, and it's not safe. I mean, we've talked about women that are injured. There was a young girl the day that President Trump signed this piece of legislation, and she had a traumatic brain injury. It's just not fair, and it's cowardly of these men to want to compete against women.
Yeah. Well, I think in most cases, they haven't been able to compete competitively in men's sports, so they decide to move over to women's sports. But, and these colleges that just allow this to happen, I mean, I hope that someone is looking at Ithaca College and any federal funds that they may be receiving, that those are canceled right away.
I can tell you that's exactly what's going to happen. So they can keep stalling and not pay attention to President Trump. And I think they're going to get hit where it hurts for sure.
Yeah. Representative Sheri Biggs, it's always a pleasure. I appreciate your time, and thanks for what you do for South Carolina.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Wrapping up another show today. This is one of those situations when you start getting to my age, and, my buddy Mike Gallagher, he turned 65 next week. And it's hit him so hard, he's actually taking the week off. I get that, though. Turning 65, that is a milestone. But when you start hearing some of the news that we heard yesterday, where Hollywood actor Val Kilmer, at the age of 65, died of pneumonia, passed away of pneumonia, it really starts making you think, doesn't it? I mean, Val Kilmer, Batman, you would think is indestructible. His career showcased his, he played Rockstar in Top Secret. He, characters like Jimmy Morrison and of course, Batman. His career also included supporting roles in films like Heat, The Ghost in the Darkness, Pollock, and others. I mean, he was just a star. He was a man's man. And according to reports, despite his reputation of being somewhat surly and self-involved early in his career, Kilmer's colleagues like Oliver Stone and Robert Downey Jr. acknowledged that that his talent as an actor, that he was just a good individual. His personal life, including his childhood in Los Angeles, his early acting career at Juilliard, and his fascination with Mark Twain added depth to his legacy as an actor and artist, according to those who worked with him. But again, it just kind of hits home when someone like Val Kilmer, that you just think is so tough, and succumbs to pneumonia. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz announced yesterday that they plan to expand military operations in Gaza and to seize, quote, large areas of the territory. Katz emphasized the goal of the expanded operation is to, quote, destroy and clear the area of terrorist and terrorist infrastructure and incorporate seized areas into Israeli security zones. Katz called for a large-scale evacuation of Palestinians and urges the population to eliminate Hamas and return Israeli hostages as the only way to end this war. The Israeli military reportedly initiated ground operations in Rafah following Katz's announcement. The conflict escalated, of course, after Israel launched its renewed Gaza offensive on March the 18th, citing Hamas's rejection of a new U.S. proposal to extend the ceasefire and free hostages. You know, Hamas just doesn't want to end this. I mean, let's just be honest here. I guess they love to see their people and their area destroyed, because that's what Israel's going to do if that's what it takes to end this war. In other news, the U.S. Navy Academy removed 400 books from its library following instructions from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's office to eliminate materials promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion. The removal of the books is part of the Trump administration's broader effort to eradicate DEI content from federal agencies, including educational institutions like the Naval Academy. The Naval Academy, Air Force Academy, and U.S. Military Academy were not initially included in Trump's executive order banning DEI instructions in K through 12 schools due to their college status. Pentagon leaders directed the Navy Academy, though, to review and to remove any books promoting DEI after media reports highlighted their presence in the library. Elon Musk and President Trump had previously suggested the idea of using Department of Government efficiency savings to send you and me a $5,000 stimulus check. Remember this? We kind of did a poll at the time. I asked you if you wanted your $5,000 check. Many of you said yes. Many of you said no. Well, still don't know for sure if they're going to do it. I don't know that it's a good idea to do it. Musk indicated that the decision to issue specific checks is up to Congress, of course, and the president, but emphasized that reducing wasteful spending would benefit the economy regardless of whether checks are distributed and allow you and me to spend it, put it back into the economy. Musk stated that making government spending more efficient and reducing wasteful spending would ultimately benefit taxpayers by reducing the tax burden. And it's really a simple formula, isn't it? It's just that simple. The current reported savings by DOGE amounts to $140 billion, which translates to about $870 per taxpayer, which is less than the proposed $5,000 stimulus check. But hey, it's just been 2 months. Give them some time. They'll get there. House Speaker Mike Johnson criticized the concept of stimulus checks from DOGE savings, citing the need for fiscal responsibility and addressing the federal debt and deficit. So we'll see. Hey, let me take a minute to talk to you about my favorite market, and that is Ingles, of course. Have you been to the Ingles Bakery lately? Ingles has store-made cakes and cookies, donuts, muffins, the world-famous apple fritters. They make them fresh every single day. Are you hungry yet? Are you ready to just run by an Ingles right now? Grab a muffin and some coffee. Great selection of organic breads as well. And they have some magnificent artesian breads in old world varieties like rosemary, garlic, Tuscan, and they slice it while you watch. That's what I love about Ingles. In any of their departments, I'm talking about the bakery right now, but any of the departments, is so fresh. You see them. You see them slicing the bread. You see them cutting the steaks, whatever. They also have mouth-watering seasonal fruit pies, too. You can order your cake, too, from hundreds of choices. If you have a special occasion like a birthday, anniversary, retirement party, they'll even customize it for you. They'll put your photo on it. Or if you're having maybe a birthday for one of your grandchildren, they'll put your grandchild's photo on it. It's all easy And the friendly associates at Ingalls is what makes it best. They'll walk you through every step of the way, whether it's ordering a custom cake or just finding the right combination for whatever that special event is. Expect more from your local store. Ingalls, they're our neighborhood market. Ingalls, low prices, love the savings. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has instructed diplomats to scrutinize social media content of visa applicants suspected of criticizing the U.S. and Israel. You know, we're right in the middle of a battle right now of deporting this young man that was at Columbia University. He's in a ICE holding cell in Louisiana now. The directive aims to deny visas to applicants with terrorist ties or sympathies or those expressing sympathy for Palestinians during the Gaza war. Now, this is a smart thing. It's a lot easier to keep them where they are. Don't let them into the country to begin with than it is to deport them with all these federal judges throwing up the roadblocks. And this is what should be done anyway. Again, no one has the right to come to our country. That is a privilege. And we should be really focusing on those people. We should put a microscope on people who are wanting to come to our country. Because, again, it's a lot easier to keep them out than it is to return them once they get here because of all these crazy judges. Rubio's directive specifies that applicants can be denied a visa if they show a hostile attitude towards U.S. citizens or U.S. culture. And, again, we should be doing this anyway. This is common sense. If you see that some young kid, some college student, is posting on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok their hatred of America, why would they even want to come here? Why would they want to be here? Just don't let them come. Just turn them around. Rubio has revoked over 300 visas, many of them belonging to students involved in campus protests against Israel's military campaign in Gaza. In some cases, we know that in Columbia University in New York City, they practically closed the campus down. These anti-Israel sympathizers, Palestinian sympathizers. So rather than us having to go through the complexities of sending them back home, just don't let them come. Just turn them away from the beginning. And look, hey, if it takes a little bit longer for these visas to be issued, so be it. Let them wait. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.